Hi, it's Marie with Marie's Cards and More. Well, I still have my allergies or cold or whatever, so I apologize if I cough or sniffle, and I do have a lozenge in my mouth, so I apologize for that. But the show must go on. So I told you I was going to show you some of the adhesives that we have with Stampin' Up. In the new catalog, which I have just shown y'all, on page 73 are all the different adhesives. So let's kind of go over what we have. We have the multi-purpose glue, which is this, Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. And if you look here, down at the bottom, it says, what adhesive is best for your project? And then they have these little emblems, and they have them right next to each of the products. So for the multi-purpose glue, they're telling you it's good for cardstock and paper. It's good to use it for ribbon, embellishments, and die cuts. They don't suggest to use it for a 3D project. I don't know, I've used it on 3D projects, but they tend to think you need the tear and tape. So the next is the fine tip glue pen. I do not have that one, but they say that's really good to use for embellishments and for die cuts. Well, instead of buying this, which I may end up buying it, I just put my mono liquid glue in one of these little fine tip bottles that you can buy, you know, on your online store. And I just put the glue in it, and then I have a finer tip. So that's how I get around with that. Stampin' Seal. So the Stampin' Seal, they recommend that you use the Stampin' Seal for cardstock and paper and ribbon. And here is the Stampin' Seal. So it is a tape, and it's very sticky. And then you just, it's what I call a dry adhesive. And so you can get, when you buy it, you get this, and then you can get the refill. Whoops. I always put this thing on backwards. Excuse me. Has a little lid. You can also buy the refill. So you don't get the whole case, you just get the inner parts. They're also Stampin' Seal Plus. So here's the Plus. For this one, they're saying that you could use it for cardstock and paper. You could use it for ribbon, but you could also use it for your 3D projects. And so it's a heavier duty stickiness, and you could also get refills for it. Then we move on to the mini glue dots, which are what these are. And you get 300 peel and stick dots. So for this, they're telling you you could use it for cardstock or paper, ribbon, embellishments, or your die cuts. It comes on like a roll, as you can see. Here's your little roll, and you peel it back, and there are your little glue dots. Next is Stampin' Dimensionals. So for the Stampin' Dimensionals, they have 3 different ones. Excuse me. I'll be glad when I get over whatever this is. So here you have the regular Stampin' Dimensionals, which is this. And they're this size. Little foam piece, sticky on both sides, has a cover on one side. And you can use those for cardstock and paper or for your die cuts. And that will just pop things up a little bit. So it gives you the dimension. So, hence the name, Dimensionals. Next are the minis. So here are some minis. And open that up. So on this size you get 300. On the minis you get 720. Looks like this. And then you pop them up. Get one of those little guys out. Much smaller, as you can see. So obviously you would use that in a smaller area. Again, cardstock and die cuts. Those are the minis. They also have black. A combo pack. And here's some of the black. So it has the regular big one and then the minis. So I think you've already seen what they look like, but they would be black. So you could use that if you didn't want that to stand out. Like maybe you have a very dark card and you don't want that white to stand out at all. Next they have tear and tape. And for this you could use it for your cardstock, for your ribbon, for your embellishments, or the die cuts. And it looks like this. And I've used the tear and tape on other projects, but you just peel it up, stick it down, burnish, and then peel off the cover, and then stick whatever else on top. So there's the tear and tape. Excuse me. When we come into the foam adhesive strips, I just recently showed you these. They come in a package. They're pretty long, but you just cut it down, kind of like what I showed you. I just cut mine down. It's like a strip. It's real easy to go around the perimeter of a card, or like maybe one long strip of cardstock that you want to adhere. And they're saying to use these just on the cardstock. I don't know. I've used them on the die cuts, and it does just fine. But they're recommending it just for the cardstock. It's basically putting a whole panel on top is what they recommend them to be used for. They also have foam adhesive sheets, and this you could just cut to fit. So maybe you want the whole thing. You don't want any sagginess. Then you get this whole sheet, and you could cut that. So you could die cut this out. Let's say you had, oh, I don't know, a flower that you wanted the whole thing to be, and to have this, what's the word I'm looking for? Dimension. You wanted the whole thing to have dimension. Then you could cut your die cut. You could cut with this, the foam adhesive sheet. And they say you can use it for the cardstock or, again, for your die cuts. And lastly is the adhesive sheets. And that is these. And they're nice long sheets. So let's say you're going to cut out a whole bunch of dies, and they have lots of little pieces to them. Well, you could cut them out, using this sheet. So you would put your, peel back part of it, put your cardstock down on one side, right? Then you do your die cutting, and then after you do your die cutting, then you peel off the backer, and then you could just stick it down. You can use that instead of using glue, and they recommend you use that on all your die cut pieces. So what you're doing is you're putting this sheet, peeling it back. Well, hang on. You're peeling this back, right? And then you're going to stick this onto the cardstock. Okay, so you peeled all that off, and then after you die cut it out, you'll peel off the back. And that way you can just stick things down. So those are Stampin' Up! Adhesives. Again, page 73 in the new catalog, or you can look them up online. But I have a few other items that I like to use. They're not Stampin' Up! Products, but I like a glue stick. And I've shown you how I use the glue stick to put on the dimensional, so when I stick it down, I have a little bit of wiggle room. So I like just a glue stick. And you can get that at your favorite online store or your craft store. I'm getting a paper towel, my poor nose. The other thing that I like is a removable tape. So for this, maybe you, excuse me, one second. I'm so sorry. For this, maybe you want to see how your layout's going to be. So before I stick something down permanently, I can use my removable tape and I stick it on there, and then I can move things around and things aren't slipping and sliding. And then when I decide that's where I want it to be, that's when I can add either my liquid glue or my tape and then permanently put it down. And again, you can get that on your online store. The other thing that I use a whole lot of is my Post-it removable label tape. And this is what I use to hold down my die cuts when I'm cutting them through the die cut machine. I went ahead and got the large 2-inch, and I just tear them. I just tear pieces, and you can reuse them over and over again. So again, those are some of the adhesives that Stampin' Up! Has, and then just a couple of extras that I think I find to be helpful. So hopefully this will help you in your stamping, card making, scrapbooking adventure. So until next time, I hope you have a great day, and bye for now.